Good morning and welcome to Wake Up Wichita, the show where we're keeping you caught up, laughing a little, and getting your day started right here in the Air Capital. I'm Kayla G, and this week we're talking local events, what's trending online, and a few stories that definitely woke us up before the coffee kicked in. This week we've got this.
A significant weight loss, but it was all fat and no muscle.
All that and more right here on a show we like to call Wake Up Wichita.
Some stories don't fade with time, especially when they involve trust, friendship, and betrayal. The new 3-part Hulu docuseries, Friends Like These, The Murder of Skyler Neese, revisits the 2012 disappearance of a West Virginia teenager and the shocking truth that followed. It's a story told through social media, personal interviews, and voices closest to the case. So joining us this morning are director Claire Titley and former FBI agent and polygraph examiner Dr. Rob Ambrosini. Thank you two for being here. How are you?
Thank you. Good. Thank you.
All right, Claire, what stood out to you about this case and what made you feel like it needed to be revisited now, more than a decade later?
I think one of the things that made me that was so kind of shocking about this case when I first kind of looked at it was the fact that it's 2012 and it's quite a unique era in a way for social media, because it was that era where social media was new. It was kind of a new frontier. It was the kind of Wild West though as well. And teenagers were experimenting with it. They were just putting their entire lives online. They didn't have the hindsight that we have now about kind of, what could possibly go wrong. But also it was an era where adults weren't really looking at social media. So nobody was kind of checking up on them. There were no sort of checks and balances. And that makes that generation of teenagers at that kind of time particularly unique. They're almost like the guinea pigs of social media. And
the series used Skyler's own words and social media posts that you said. How did that storytelling change the ways this story unfolds for viewers?
I think it was really important to us to try and give Skyler a voice. We didn't want her to just be a kind of a plot point in a true crime, where she's just the kind of victim and has no voice. We really wanted her to have agency in telling her own story, which is harder than it sounds, obviously when she's gone. But she left behind this incredible sort of archive of tweets, of digital messages, but also her own writing as well. So we worked very closely with her parents to make sure that we could just bring her voice kind of front and center, and that she could at least be a part of telling this story from the inside out. So we interview her friends as well, quite comprehensively, so that we can hear this story from the 16-year-old perspective, including Skyler herself.
And Dr. Ambrosini, you spent 24 years with the FBI. You've conducted thousands of polygraph exams. When you look at this case, what role did interviewing and behavioral analysis play in getting the truth?
Well, interviewing really played a significant role. And long before I became involved in the case, the two young girls, they were interviewed by case agents, state troopers, local police investigators. And during that process, you kind of started seeing this evolution of what really should be fact, right? When things are fact, it doesn't change, right? The truth is the truth, and it's always going to be the truth. But there were indications during these interviews that really did result in kind of like this evolution of their story. And of course, when that happens, the logical investigation is, why is this person changing that story, right? So this case is kind of about the behavior that's exhibited, the ideation, what's going on, what are they thinking, and how are they communicating? And that really speaks to the social media that you have here, which again was kind of in its infancy stage, if you will, compared to what it is now. So really, a lot of it did come down to the really significant interviews that the investigators were doing.
And one of the most unsettling aspects is how normal these friendships appeared on the surface. How does this case reveal about the hidden conflict, and especially among teenagers?
I think what we really wanted to do with this series was kind of remind people what it's like to be 16. It's very easy to forget when you become an adult, and put that behind you. But about the fact that when you are that age, your brain behaves in such a way that your friends become much more important than your parents, than your family. Everything is very heightened. your reasoning is off, if you like. Your idea of consequences, is very different to that of an adult's. And when you have that combined with social media that is completely I say unregulated, but unwatched by anybody else, that's where the kind of combination was kind of so dangerous, really, I think, particularly for that generation who didn't have the hindsight that we have now.
And Claire, after someone watches all 3 episodes, what do you hope stays with them?
I hope people do reflect on their own use of sort of social media, on their children, on their family as well, and remember what it's like to be that age. But also, I hope that they come away from this feeling like they know Skyler, and she would have turned 30 just a few weeks ago. So that's a life that she didn't have. And she should have gone to college. She wanted to be a lawyer. There's all this life that didn't happen. And I'd love for people to come away knowing and remembering Skyler as she was.
Hey, I want to thank you two for joining me today. Friends Like These, The Murder of Skyler Neese, with all 3 episodes available to stream now on Hulu. I want to thank you two for joining me today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you ever wonder what happens when love, family, and small town drama all collide? That's the heart of My Life with the Walter Boys. After a whirlwind first season, the story is back with even more twists, tension, and second chances. Joining us are Nikki Rodriguez, Noah LaLond, and Ashby Gentry, better known as Jackie, Cole, and Alex, to talk about season 2 and now streaming on Netflix. Welcome to the show, you 3. How are you?
Thank you.
Doing
So
well.
good.
Thank you.
All right, Nikki, your character Jackie went through a lot this season. How does she approach coming back to Silver Falls after spending the summer in New York?
Yeah, I think, when she comes back to Silver Falls this time, I think she's ready to kind of face things head on a little bit. And I think she just wants to be like the perfect version of herself to kind of just make up for her past in a way. So I think that's her overall goal this season.
And Noah, Cole is stepping into a new role at school this season. What's it like to explore that side of him, and how does it affect his relationships?
Yeah, I think it was fascinating to step into that new side of him, because I think it's a version of himself that's taking ownership over his life. After throughout season 1, there was a lot of directing blame on other people and kind of self-sabotaging. So I think, taking ownership of your path and allowing, that growth to happen and start to prepare to be who you want to be for other people in your life, your family, the people who you want to show up for. So that was it was a cool turn to take.
Ashby, and your character, Alex, seemed to have changed a lot since we last saw him. How did you prepare to show that growth, especially with his focus on rodeo training?
Well, I listened to a lot of cowboy podcasts and watched a lot of YouTube videos and walked through the park a lot. And the rest of it, you'll have to see on screen. Yeah.
The show is based on a beloved book, and it's taken a life of its own. What's been like interacting with fans and hearing from them and seeing how connected they are to your characters and the story?
I mean, it's been an absolute dream come true. I think you always hope that you're bringing the character, like you're doing justice in a way. And so it's just been really lovely, the response.
And is there anything that you are expecting or would hope that your audience will take from season 2?
Yeah, of course. I think I hope that they would take it. I hope that they would to take away some of the lessons that are to be yourself, to love hard and love your family, and just know that if tomorrow doesn't work out, the next day is always there.
All right, I want to thank you 3 for joining me this morning. Season 2 of My Life with the Walter Boys is streaming now on Netflix. Make sure you watch and catch all of the drama that's been unfolding in Silver Falls. Thank you 3 for joining me.
Thank you. Have a good one.
A parent's worst nightmare is not knowing the truth about what happened to their child. That's the mystery at the center of Netflix's new thriller, I Will Find You. The The series follows a father serving time for his son's murder who suddenly receives evidence that his child may still be alive, setting off a desperate search for answers. Today, we're joined by Milo Ventimiglia, who stars as Hayden in the limited series. Welcome to the show, Milo. How are you?
Well, Dan, how are you this morning?
I'm doing good. For people who haven't started I Will Find You yet, what grabbed you about this story and made you want to be part of it?
The complexity, as well as, being a parent myself and God forbid anything happens to your child, you're going to go to the ends of the earth to find out what's going on, and hopefully get your kid back to safety. But, I found a lot of common ground with Harlan Coben and Robbie Hull, our showrunner, and was excited to do scene work with Sam Worthington and Britt Lauer and Jonathan Tucker and Logan Browning and everybody involved. Chad McBride, who, it's funny, like in my 30 years of filmmaking, like I've been on set with just about everybody on the cast to work, to be reunited and work again. So just go spend a summer with my friends making something cool.
Hayden becomes involved in a mystery that's filled with twists and secrets. What can you tell us about your character and where he fits into this story?
So Hayden Payne, I play a wealthy philanthropist who was previously connected to Britt Lauer's character, Rachel, who is the previous sister-in-law, former sister-in-law to David, Sam Worthington's character. When he breaks out of prison and goes on the hunt for his son, I come into the fold as someone who's just wanting to help. I'm there to help, use my resources, my time, whatever I can to help this man find his son.
And the series, it balances suspense, family drama, and a lot of emotional stakes. What was it like bringing those different elements together as an actor?
We're constantly doing that, role to role, job to job, show to show. You're always bringing together that complexity. But, this one was delicate because of what we were set to dance around, the real mystery, the people that were involved in this covering up of a boy who was killed. It was just a complex role, but it was, very exciting to be a part of.
Okay, so without giving anything away, what do you think audiences will be talking about after they finish I Will Find You?
Never saw it coming. God, that was fun. I think I want to watch it again to see if I can figure out if they tipped their hat in any way in the beginning of the show. It's just a great ride. It's entertaining, self-contained, and a lot of heart.
Hey, I want to thank you for being here today. I Will Find You is now streaming on Netflix. You can find the series and watch all the episodes at Netflix.com or on your Netflix app. Hey, Milo, I want to thank you for joining me today.
No problem. Thanks, Dave.
Do you ever dream of uncovering lost treasure, exploring ancient tunnels, or even chasing down history's greatest mysteries? Josh Gates lives that adventure for real. And he's back with brand new seasons of Expedition Unknown and Expedition Files on Discovery Channel. Fresh off a Daytime Emmy win, Josh's latest expeditions dig deeper than ever, from inside Egypt's Great Pyramid to tracking hidden treasures around the world. Josh, it's great to see you here.
Thanks for having me, man.
All right, I guess without giving out too much away or spoiling for everybody, what is one moment this season that you thought to yourself, I can't believe we're actually pulling this off?
I think it's our season premiere, which is this big 2-hour, 2-part special on the Great Pyramid of Giza. And look, this building, which is 4,500 years old, has always inspired conspiracy theories and mystery. And so we are going to crawl through every inch of the Great Pyramid, sections that are closed to the public. We're going to descend deep beneath the pyramid into the bedrock itself. And to be down there in those tunnels was just such an absolute, electric thrill. And to take our viewers with us, that's the moment where I was like, I can't believe we're doing this.
Fans love both Expedition Unknown and Expedition Files. Can you give us the elevator pitch? What is the biggest difference between the two shows and why people should be tuned in for both hours?
Sure. Expedition Unknown is our boots on the ground exploration adventure show. So we spend the whole hour, or in the season premiere, 2 hours, investigating far-flung mysteries around the world. That's where we're going to be crawling in tunnels, macheteing through jungles, diving into the unknown. Expedition Files, we are able to tackle 3 stories per hour, and these are incredibly iconic mysteries. I serve as a kind of guide through those stories, taking our viewers into the past, meeting experts and authors and historians that have, revelations, breaking news about some of the most famous cases in history. So that's really kind of pulling open the adventure filing cabinet and looking into these really awesome stories. And Expedition Unknown invites you to literally get dirty and get out there in the world with us.
Josh Gates says, if you want to be a Bilbo Baggins and go on an adventure, pull a Nike and just do it. See, like I put two.
Just do it.
Yeah, there you go. Josh Gates, I want to thank you for joining me today. If you are into real-world mysteries, big swings, and a host who actually gets dirt under his nails, watch Josh Gates on Discovery. New episodes of Expedition Unknown and Expedition Files on Wednesday nights. Check your local listings and stream full episodes at discovery.com. Thanks for hanging out with me, Josh.
Hey, all the best, man. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Have you ever taken a dream opportunity only to realize something feels very wrong? That's the setup behind Strung, the new Peacock thriller from acclaimed filmmaker Malcolm D. Lee. The film follows a gifted violinist who becomes entangled in the world of a wealthy and mysterious family, where secrets seem to be hiding around pretty much every corner. Malcolm is the director behind favorites like the Best Man franchise and Girls Trip, and now he's taking audiences somewhere much darker. Malcolm, welcome.
Man, I love that intro. That was awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. I appreciate you.
Thank you for that. Strung starts with a talented musician getting what seems like the opportunity of lifetime. What drew you to the story and the tension at the center of it?
You know, when I read Alan McElroy's script, I could not put it down. You know, it just was a page turner. I was talking to it out loud. It was speaking to me. I was speaking back to it, and I just said I gotta dip my toe into this genre of thrillers and this erotic psychological thriller.
You've built a career directing comedies, dramas, and ensemble films that audiences really connect with. What was exciting about stepping into the thriller genre with Strung?
You know, I think audiences still want to see these kinds of movies, you know, and I love the opportunity to do something different and outside of my comfort zone. And not necessarily outside of my comfort zone, but something different that I hadn't done before. And it was nice to not have to cut to the joke, you know, and just be able to tell the story with a different pacing, a different tone. And I want to challenge myself in that regard, get the right cast and get the right crew behind me. And this crew that I've been working with has been a crew that I've been with before and collaborated on many, many things. But to work with this cast was amazing as well.
Chloe Bailey carries so much of the story as Layla. What made her the right choice for this role, and what did she bring to the character?
You know, Chloe, I hadn't worked with before, but I knew about her, and I thought she would be a great asset to for this role. And when I saw her, and when we got to talking and we got to know each other a little bit more and work together, I was amazed by what she was able to do, because Layla has to do so many things in this movie and play so many different colors, you know, from being emotional to being vulnerable to being sexy and maternal. And all kinds of colors that she had to play, that I was just like, wow, she really, really brought a lot to the table. And I'm very, very proud of the work that she did in this movie. She's really, really talented.
One of the things that makes this film work is the atmosphere and sense of there's something not quite right. How did you approach building that suspense without giving too much away?
Yeah, you know, the thing is, everybody in this movie, every character in this movie is hiding something. You know, it's most, you know, emblematic by the little girl that she's tutoring, Zuri, with her actual mask. But everyone in this movie is masking something, whether it's trauma or grief or something to that effect. And I wanted to make sure that everything on the surface looked presentable and comely and beautiful and opulent. And so it started with the house. And you see this inviting environment that is a little antiseptic, but just like, oh, it's lush and it's beautiful. But underneath all of that, you find that there's some dark things.
And looking at your career, you know, The Best Man, Girls Trip, and now Strung, what continues to inspire you as a storyteller, and what kinds of stories are you most interested in telling next?
Yeah, you know, I am incredibly blessed to have the opportunity to get paid for what I love to do. And I want to keep challenging myself and bringing entertainment to audiences. That's the main thing. I like to have to entertain people and make them feel good, make them feel, you know, emotions one way or another. And in this case, we're taking them on a thrill ride. And in the future, I hope to do, you know, the same kinds of things, you know, whether it's with a thriller, whether it's a comedy or a musical or a drama. I love, you know, working with actors and bringing a vision to life for audiences to enjoy.
Malcolm, I want to thank you for joining me today. Strung is now streaming on Peacock. You can watch the film and learn more by visiting peacocktv.com. Malcolm D. Lee, thanks for joining me today.
Thanks, Dan.
What happens when somebody who's already built a career in music and business decides to tell a different kind of story? Splash City is a new crime drama set in the city of San Francisco, exploring family, loyalty, and choices that changes a life. Today, we're joined by the film's executive producer, co-writer, and co-director, Berner. Welcome to the show. How are you, my friend?
Thank you for having me. I'm feeling good.
It's good to have you here. You've had success in the music business, your own personal business, but Splash City is your first feature film. What made this the right time to tell this story?
I feel like I've already done so much music already. I've already done, I wrote a book, got the New York Times bestseller with my book recently. So I'm like, right now, film makes the most sense. It's like the next level of storytelling for me, I feel like.
And this movie follows two brothers. They're trying to escape a very different paths. What about it, that relationship, that made you want to build a film around it?
I feel like we all know a pair of brothers that go through different things. I have a brother, and I've met multiple brothers that have someone going down the right path, doing the right thing, and then someone just kind of influenced by the wrong crowd, right? It's something we all grew up with, at least if you kind of come from the streets, or you kind of come from a rougher upbringing. So I feel like we wanted to address that. And the whole, period of time in San Francisco where the smash and grab was so real. It was a really big thing for quite some time in SF.
And you centered all of this around San Francisco. And a lot of film and media, we get like the Olsen twins from Full House, we maybe get The Room, but you decided to do an authentic approach to attach to that city. What made you do that and why?
I'm born and raised here. I feel like it's missing. Like, you never see the other side of SF. You would either see, like you said, Full House, Mrs. Doubtfire,
you're right.
Old School Cuffs with Christian Slater. It was all great. But one, it's a beautiful city. It deserves to be on camera. And two, there's a whole nother world that no one's even seen before. So that's what we're here for.
You've worn a lot of hats on this project. You're executive producer, you're writer, co-director. What do you think you learned about filmmaking that surprised you the most?
Everything. I think the biggest thing I learned was you have to have a great line producer. I learned that the hard way. But other than that, I feel like I learned just on how to fund a film, how to run a tight ship to get the shots you need done. I learned a lot about post, mixing, sound design, the whole nine. So I feel like we're gamed all the way up right now.
And a lot of the time, you learn something when you start a film. If you could go back in time, whisper in your ear on day one when you're starting things out, what would be one of the little pieces of advice that you'd give yourself on day one that would make the project, filming, and everything much better or easier?
Probably would have focused on the way to preserve the budget a little more. Like we did this film for $2 million. It looks like a $10 million film, honestly. The quality of it, the way we executed it. But I feel like I could have maybe kept that budget a little tighter. Okay. I should have paid attention a little more to logistics.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have any advice for any filmmakers out there?
Yeah, just take your time to plot it out. We went head first. We didn't really think about talent's going to stay here. We have to get them over here. We're going to shoot here. And tomorrow, I would rather just get the logistics all the way down first,
Anything that you are working on next that we might be knowing about?
Yeah, I'm working on a scripted series about my life, about cookies and whatnot, so that's going to be tight. It's with a pretty big studio. We'll announce that soon. I'm working on my next feature film. It's like a marijuana trafficking film, and maybe like a urban type horror.
All right, I want to thank you for joining me today. Splash City is available now in select theaters across the country. Please go to their website and check out where you could find Splash City airing near you.
Thank you.
Thanks, bud.
Appreciate it.
A lot of people are using GLP-1 medications to lose weight. Research says keeping muscle may be just as important as losing fat. Sarah Kennedy is the founder and CEO of CaloCurb, and she's joining us today. Welcome, Sarah.
Hi, Abby. Great to be with you.
What does this new research show, and why is it important?
Yeah, we are so excited. We just published our 4th human clinical about 10 days ago. And what it shows is it was 150 patients, men and women, over men and women, a BMI between 25 and 35 over 6 months. So on treatment and not, so on CaloCurb and then on a placebo. And what it showed is we got a significant weight loss, but it was all fat and no muscle, so completely preserved the muscle. Now, why that's so important, many of your viewers may know that on a GLP-1 medication, you can lose up to 40% of muscle as part of your weight loss. So you've got to move beyond the scales now and look at body composition, and muscle is what we want to preserve.
And how is naturally activating the body's own GLP-1 different from taking GLP-1 injections?
Yeah, it's a really good question. So what Kellicurb does is it goes down and it super stimulates your endogenous, your natural appetite suppressing hormones. So most people don't realize you actually produce GLP-1 and other appetite suppressing hormones. And this is a subtle mechanism within your body to tell you you're full. So if you think about when you have a big meal and about 45 minutes later you go, ooh, I wish I hadn't eaten so much, I feel really full. That's your appetite suppressing hormones kicking in. So what Kellicurb does is if you take it an hour to an hour and a half before lunch or before dinner, it super stimulates the release of your own natural hormones, and that tells your brain that you're full. So we're helping you to feel full faster. So our 3 previous clinical or human clinical trials showed that we reduce hunger by 30%, craving by 40%, and an average of a calorie intake of 18%. And now this latest human clinical shows that that goes into weight loss, but it was all fat, not muscle. So the difference then is with a GLP-1 synthetic or a prescription drug is that you are injecting in or you're orally taking a synthetic hormone. And what they've done with a synthetic hormone, they've just mimicked your natural GLP-1. But what they've done is they've changed a little molecule in it so it lasts for 7 days, where Kellicurb lasts for 4 to 6 hours. So what we're doing is we're working with your body to help you feel fuller. So that's the difference. One is a synthetic, one is re-stimulating or super stimulating the release. So you're kind of rebooting that gut-brain axis.
And where can people go for more information, and where can they get it?
Sure. So where to go? We actually grow the extract. You'll notice by my weird accent. We grow the accent in, we grow the extract in New Zealand, and we extract it there and we send it to the US where it's manufactured in the US. So go to www.Kellicurb, that's CALOCURB.com, and you'll find all the information there. You can look at the science, you can look how it was developed. It's actually 16 years and 30 million in research, and it was started by the New Zealand government. So go and have a look at that. And if you do want to purchase, use the discount code START, and that will give you 10% off your first order. You can also get it from Amazon, and we also sell through practitioners here in the US, so you can ask your practitioner about it as well and how you can use it. But, you know, it's just a really elegant, natural solution to help you manage those portion sizes.
And one more time, where can they go for more information?
Sure, it's www.Kellicurb, CALOCURB.com, and use that discount code START.
Thank you so much, Sarah, for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thanks for waking up with us right here on Wake Up Wichita. We'll see you next time with more fun, more local stories, and everything you need to start your day on a good note. If you can't wait till next week, I know I can't. Be sure to follow us on social media or YouTube. Until next time, that was a show we like to call Wake Up Wichita.